So when Anna comes out and says, don't call me a birthing person or having a bonus hole, they say, you're lying, that never happened, or you're right wing.
Give me an example, please. One. At this point, one. Can any of you, anyone, one, please show me a prominent leftist, a prominent civil rights activist, or someone who is trans saying to Anna Kasparian, you are not to be referred to as a woman. You are to be referred to as a birthing person. Show me. I want the receipts on this. Because I've heard a lot of this being a problem. So if it's a problem, like, let alone an isolated incident, right? Because you wouldn't want to make an entire issue, especially with a massive platform, out of an isolated incident that is going to further fearmonger against a marginalized group that you espouse to stand up for, right? All right, let's move on to bonus holes. I feel like I need a bonus hole.
Did you see what happened with the Young Turks?
With Anna
Afroponics, thank you so much for the Prime as well. Thanks for using your Prime on me. I will use it for good.
Oh, it's the most enjoyable thing on Twitter right now.
Oh my gosh, let's talk about it. What happened? Anna Kasparian
melting down.
So Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks
melting.
criticized this nonprofit for calling women's privates bonus holes. And the reaction,
others, because she had a problem with being called a birthing person and stuff like that.
But the latest one is that she criticized the organization for referring to female parts as bonus holes.
Yeah.
And what happened? Many leftist commentators said she lied, made it up, it's propaganda and not.
See what they do? See? Do you see? The exact fucking thing we said was going to happen. I was like, you know the real danger of this and why this sucks and why when people are like, oh, Lance, you're just doing this for the clicks and the blah, blah, blah. Hey, as a side effect, don't get me wrong. No one doesn't like not seeing bigger numbers on the YouTubes. But no, I would way fucking rather they didn't do this arc because the right are going to use it. Everything that you are doing is with intent. When you put out the ridiculous stories, the birthing person and the bonus hole stories, and we're going to debunk the bonus hole, by the way. It's not that this didn't happen, but this is why they frame it in such a way, all right? This is a true story from 3 fucking years ago. In 2020 is when this organization put out this newsletter, this flyer, and said that, hey, by the way, and again, this is about inclusive language. It's not, hey, you can no longer use the term vagina and you can no longer ever refer to someone's vagina as a vagina. We demand, we being the trans activists, demand you use the term bonus hole. And then everyone else can look at the story and be like, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I see that and I see how ridiculous it is. Yeah, because I don't want to remove that language. I'm going to use it. Fuck that. I'm calling it a vagina. Fuck your bonus holes. I refuse.
Real.
Yeah.
Shocking.
The Bonussi. Yeah, the Bonussi is pretty great, actually. We can't fucking deride the Bonussi. Ooh,
insane
Bonussi.
and evil.
Anna
is correct, and I agree with her opinion. However, I do find her to be duplicitous in that we've agreed with her and Jenk on so many things, but they always pretend to oppose us, which is the
your fragile ego. Every time. And still they won't talk about how amazing I am. I'm so cool. Why won't they talk about my skate park, my ollies, my band? I have a rock band. I'm a rock hero. Like the game. Yeah, there's gonna be a level in the game about me. Like, why do you care so much? I get that sometimes too from, like, you know, people who I thought would hate me, and they make so many videos mocking me and making fun of me, and deep down when they email you, it sounds like they want to be your friend, and they're like, oh, Lance would be a good guy if only we could pull him away from all this fucking lefty cult shit. He'd be fun to hang out with. He seems like a good guy. And I'm like, I'm not in a fucking lefty cult. I don't have, like, I'm not being forced to believe these things, you know? Even Chico's disgusted. He's like, yeah, we're not in a cult, bro. I'm heading out. But no one's forcing me to do any of this. It's not like I wake up and I'm like, excuse me, my dear, I have to get my Soros paycheck. I just got to find out what the rules are for today. Okay. All right. Apparently neo pronouns are based. That's are based. Yes. So I have to say that. I'm going to think that today. Yeah, we should support Ukraine against Russia. That's what Soros is saying here. So I gotta do that one. Yeah, gonna get right on that one afterwards. Yeah, okay, cool. I got my orders. Got my marching orders for the day. Let's do this.
Weirdest thing ever. If she came in here and sat down, we would be like, you're completely right on all of your points. 100%. Yep, that's absolutely correct. We agree. We talked about the same thing. The left comes out, calls her right wing, calls him shills, and says no one's referring to it as bonus holes. So she tweets the link to it, saying, here's the organization calling women's parts bonus holes, and they still claim she's lying.
Nope. So let us go to the link in question. I have the very link, and here it is, everyone. We're going to see and learn together about the bonus hole. Why bonus hole is going viral on Twitter and what the term means. After spending a little time on social media today, you might be wondering, what is a quote bonus hole, and why is the term, and why is it used all over your Twitter feed? In 2020, 3 fucking years ago. This is like brushing up the same old kink at pride discourse based on this one photo from a different event that wasn't even a fucking pride event, and then being like, hey, by the way, you let this happen, and then you're like, these aren't even goodies. They're oldies for sure. They're classics. I got you there. So 3 years ago, Joe's Cervical Cancer Trust, in partnership with an LGBT foundation, it was a charitable organization, began suggesting the term bonus hole be used as a way to support trans men and non-binary people. Here's the controversy. Once again, the exact same thing. So for everybody who, with a birthing person, was rushing to Anna's defense, again, I refer to you to a one Anna Kasparian. Watch Anna Kasparian's video on this topic from 11 months ago. You can find it on TYT quite easily. That will in detail explain to you why it is good to have inclusive language in relation to people who can give birth. So when you're like, hey, by the way, the conservatives seem like they want to remove the bodily autonomy of women in the United States, and they're working towards having that happen. And this can also apply to people who give birth. Inclusive language. By the way, one LGBTQ plus foundation in Britain is not the totality of a civil rights movement. Because why would it be, right? Wouldn't that be cartoonish and almost comical to try and say that this fucking entirety, like it's a monolith and such a powerful force that it actually commands people globally? No, people wouldn't take you seriously if you said such things. It would be ridiculous. But lo and behold, the technique that is being done here. First, we have someone, Ollie London, a professional liar, an extreme racist. You might know him as someone who had an obsession with K-pop bands, wanted to become a K-pop star. So as a white person, he began having a ton of plastic surgery, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to appear more Korean. He then started broadcasting on Maine that he thought that he could become truly Korean if he had penis reduction surgery, and started fucking talking about that. And obviously everyone was like, you are just a fucking wild ass racist. Because it's like, what you think a Korean person is a weird fetish that you have designed in your own brain. That's what you think of as a Korean person. You don't want to learn the history, the culture, the language, anything. You just want to fetishize them and then look to what you think is the most sexually appealing version of a Korean person, and then that's what you're trying to do. So this seems like just a weirdo no one should ever take seriously, let alone do book tours, let alone fucking always use as this expert in the field. And thank God someone like Ethan Klein brought Ollie on a show to be able to be like, oh yeah, this dude's full of shit. He's massively full of shit. Not only is he full of shit, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. His own sources, when he's like, well, yes, I don't know if you knew this, Ethan, but at the end of the day, it turns out that kids who are trans will be bullied more in school, according to the study, so it actually has bad outcomes. That's why you don't want to be trans. And it's like, okay, let's look at the study. Pulling up your exact study. Going to the conclusion, not the introduction. In the conclusion, yes, it says the problem here happens to be that cis people are bullying trans people. That's the problem. It's identifying the problem as we should stop bullying trans kids because then they will have better mental health outcomes. Your own source says that. You're a clown. You're a grifter, like you of the highest order. You realized at first that you couldn't get enough attention being a shock racist, so you went from being a shock extreme racist to being a detransitioner for the right wing, because you're like, oh, there's a lucrative grift here. Boom. No better example than immediately Ollie London writes a book about detransitioning, and then suddenly is just being paraded around in all of these other shows. Tim Pool has him on, all this kind of shit. And of course, the bonus hole controversy is a fucking Ollie London project. According to the glossary, a bonus hole is an alternative word for vagina and recommends checking to see which word someone would prefer to use. They also suggest using front hole as an alternative term with the same meaning. On their website, Joe's Cervical Cancer Trust says using, quote, correct language who are talking about someone's gender identity is a simple and effective way to demonstrate support and recognition if they ask for it. If they ask for it, you know? If all of a sudden someone's like, hey, by the way, can you please not refer to my body parts as a vagina? Why are you going to say, no, I refuse? That is a vagina if ever I did see one. Like if someone's like, hey, can you please not say that like I'm a prostate person? It seems like the exact request, by the way, that is being made in the opposite direction. Like the very thing that Anna is asking for. She's like, I don't want to be called a birthing person. I don't want vaginas to be called bonus holes. Well, guess what? Other people want that same right. Other people don't want to be called the thing you're forcibly calling them. So they want to be able to refer to and include themselves in a conversation as birthing people. You know, a trans man may not want to be called a woman. So if you say people who give birth, it will include them in the conversation because yes, trans men exist and you accept that. We know you do. So who does this serve? Again, bonus hole went viral today, 3 years later. 3 years later, after this whole thing got announced, you're a little late to it, but sure, by Leo Kears, and I love how they misspelled his name, Oil London. Ollie London tweeted about it. Kears is a right-wing UK-based comedian, and London is a British media personality who's well known for writing a book and experience about detransitioning and the issue of supposed trans ideology. Bad reporting here, Yahoo. I'm going to say, let's look up Ollie, or Oil London. See what Oil London is actually really known for. Insider. A white influencer said they want penis reduction surgery to become 100% Korean, sparking criticism from celebrities, experts, and academics. By the way, hey, Anna, these are the new people that you are now amplifying. This is the person you are amplifying. You see, Ollie London takes stories and manipulates them in order to push an anti-trans agenda. He is a transphobe. Yes, an extreme racist as well, but a transphobe. When I say extreme, I mean going to extreme lengths to be able to, again, further his own racist beliefs. It's one thing to fetishize, other groups. It's another thing to fetishize in a racist way other groups and also want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to become that very same fetishization. I digress. So this is the very person that you're now fucking associating with. These are the people. This is the level of fucking credibility that we're dealing with here. Yeah. Leftists fuck up. Yes, leftists fight. Yes, leftists fucking do a ton of shit. Yes, leftists are racist. Yes, leftists are transphobes. Leftists are homophobes because everyone fucking is. There's a ton of fucked up shit that leftists have to deal with. And if they're not going to acknowledge that and be open and transparent about it, they'll never be able to fucking get rid of it. So yes, you have to acknowledge all the problems that even exist in your own spaces, such as, yes, leftist spaces have a lot of fucking problems, especially white leftists have a lot of shit they have to deal with, especially they got to unpack the whiteness. A lot of that seems to be a really big problem that a lot of people are now having a lot of trouble with, and suddenly there's this big pushback where it's like, whoa, I just got to talk about how things are a little fucked up, right? Can we talk about bonus holes? Can we talk about how they want to erase the term vagina? Basically, they're TERFs. The LGBT Foundation recommends using the term bonus hole. This is the way Curse phrases it, by the way. Curse is the one who says bonus hole instead of vagina. Nope. And yes, Canyon Climber, she does. I'm sorry, everybody. You don't get to keep doing the like, oh, well, maybe she's just been misled. Like, well, maybe she didn't see more than a clip of Lance. She only saw that one clip of Lance. And because of that one clip of Lance, she started, lying and saying that Lance had a different position and then verbatim repeated his exact argument that he said on Tim Pool's show out loud. Maybe she had only seen that clip. Okay, fine. Maybe she had only heard from one person that Jesse Singal happens to not be a transphobe, actually, and has not been used and weaponized by the far right and the Christian nationalists to push an anti-trans agenda, insofar as they will actually quote him as being a non-right-wing fucking, journalist who is speaking about these kind of issues, right? Maybe that was just another oopsie. Maybe sharing the bonus hole story, one that is, again, 3 years old and who has only now been propagated and popularized by someone like Ollie London, because again, every one of these stories, if you haven't noticed the pattern, puts you on the defensive. They are a wedge. It's all of a sudden someone is saying this out loud to you where it's like, yeah, but come on, bonus hole, have we gone so far? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Right? I'm sorry, these trans activists are asking for too much. Well, these civil rights activists are asking to exist. This one UK organization 3 years ago said, hey, could you use some inclusive language? That's the story. That's the true story. But it's a real story in the news, so now Tim Pool gets to go on his show and do what he's doing before you. Tim Pool gets to go on here and be like, the left have lost their minds, right? They're saying this isn't true. It's true. It happened. Look, it's in the news. It's a news story. Yes, it's true. I'm playing defense now. It's true. It's true that one group in the UK 3 years ago said, hey, by the way, we should include other people in a conversation by using inclusive language. That is all true. That's the extent of the story. What's not true is that in 2023, the year of Luigi, suddenly it's become a very crucial issue that activists are demanding that no longer the term vagina be used. That is not true. There's also no push amongst any, as far as I know, group in North America to push the erasure of the word vagina or the erasure of the word woman. These aren't real issues. They're made up. It's oppression simulation. It's not real oppression. You know, this is again a simulation. It's all made up.
Because there's two big components to what the left commentary does. Lie about what's actually happening because they're ideologues who believe there's no truth but power. So
what you do see is when that's what you do, you then say that your enemies are doing it. When that's the actual thing. Like the double standard, and this is why it's a little tough. It's a little tougher. I gotta say, we're playing on nightmare mode and you get to play on easy because all you gotta do is turn on a camera and talk. And that's it. Meanwhile, when you're a leftist or someone who follows, I don't know, science, right? You have to be consistently accepting that you're going to be wrong on shit and self-correcting. And yeah, maybe you see that as cucked, or maybe you see that as being a snowflake or weak. You know, it's like, oh, Serfs deleted a tweet, snowflake, cucked again, cucked again. It's like, well, no, I was corrected based on that correction. I was wrong. Yes, I'm deleting that tweet. If I've offended a group along the way that I'm also trying to, like, you know, stand up for, I'll apologize because I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it's not fucking, like, is all of science cuckery? Is the entire field of science? Because that's what it is. You don't come up with the thesis and then be like, I will prove this and manifest it into the world. You want to disprove your thesis, and then other people are supposed to work upon that body of knowledge and increase it and increase our understanding of a topic based on that. More and more tests and studies and information as we go on, we begin to change what we understand and know about the world. There's not 3 elements. We thought there were. We told each other I was lied to. You told me there were 3 elements. There's many more. There's some that may not even be real. They're theoretical elements, but yes, they could be real. They could be, but we're learning. It's a process. You will get shit wrong, and we build upon that. That's the entire point.
So they're justified in their lies to gain power, or they're saying whatever they think is in opposition to the right. So if anything criticizes them, they're on the other side of it. If anyone says this book is bad, then the book must be good. So when Anna comes out and says, don't call me a birthing person or having a bonus hole, they say, you're lying, that never happened, or you're right wing.
Give me an example, please. One. At this point, one. Can any of you, anyone, one, please show me a prominent leftist, a prominent civil rights activist, or someone who is trans saying to Anna Kasparian, you are not to be referred to as a woman. You are to be referred to as a birthing person. Show me. I want the receipts on this because I've heard a lot of this being a problem. So if it's a problem, like, let alone an isolated incident, right? Because you wouldn't want to make an entire issue, especially with a massive platform, out of an isolated incident that is going to further fearmonger against a marginalized group that you espouse to stand up for, right? You wouldn't do that, not if it was just one time. It has to be such a persistent problem that it has gotten so bad that is now in such a, like, shape and or form where you have to be an activist. You want to make this an issue and a cause and tell your fans and people who watch you and or the world with your platform that this is something that we have to fight in terms of oppression. This is a form of oppression that we have to now fight against. Women are being erased and they're turning into bonus hole birthing persons. Real thing. Real serious.
I noticed that same thing with Ilad's footage of the marching, the people that were marching saying, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. And in the comments, they were like, no, that was just a moment at the march where it was out of there was some.
So really good video on this topic. Go watch it. The Humanist Report. He's talked about this in detail, and he does talk about the fact that yes, if you happen to be at this day, in this day and age, an LGBTQ plus person, and you are in big rallies and in a public sphere, please know that anything that you say in a public area is going to be weaponized against you by the right. And so if you are even in a joking way saying stuff like that, look what happens. Of course, as soon as that video footage goes out, it'll become extremely viral. Know that. Just know that, because we know that you're just trying to have fun. And I wish we lived in a different time where you could joke about shit like that without worrying about someone potentially hurting you. We don't. We do not live in that day and age. Like, we've come so far to a point where there's been so much lies and fear mongering that people are committing acts of violence. They're stabbing people in gender studies classes. Like, they have lost their fucking minds over this shit. So yeah, it turns out that if you are at a pride parade making a joke where like, we're coming for your children as a chant, is probably going to be used and weaponized by the right to the far right, all the way up to fucking white supremacists who are going to put that and broadcast it on Maine.
Buddy inciting that thing.
They weren't saying it. It was the one person holding the camera saying it. That's the other thing. Well, no, I thought that one was exposed as being, there was the camera person doing it, but then there was another part where there was just a small group of people who were chanting, right? Like there was a group of people who were, and they were not chanting because they're legitimately coming for your children. It was like, it was a stupid joke. It was the same thing with people being like, this is edgy. We're being edgy for the memes, right? It's like, sure, you're being edgy for the memes, but just know the right are going to weaponize this, right?
Someone got in the way and started that chant. They weren't really saying that. And I'm like, I just watched the video 5 times. Like, I saw him say it a lot, and there were a lot of people.
There was 2 as they walked by. It was staged. Oh, fuck me, of course.
Have any evidence that someone was there inciting that, and it just seemed like lies. Like it was like a cognitive dissonant thing. Like, I cannot accept this. I must lie. I must say it didn't happen.
It's that cycle where first they say, "Oh, it's not happening."
And by the way, you see the crumbs they have to work with. Like, they have crumbs. Okay, they work with things where it's like, hey, by the way, here's this one fringe case where there is an instance where a trans woman actually raped a cis woman. Yes, it's happened before. So let's talk about this one instance all the time. And then it's like, I always say this, what is the purpose of the way you are framing things? Because what is your purpose? Because I know as a content creator with an audience, right? You know, there's 1,000 people watching me right now. The things I say out loud, whether or not I'm doing it as entertainment or a joke, is obviously going to have an effect upon people and the things they say. So if I frame an issue, particularly in one way, insofar as it's going to make people very afraid, and I know this, of a particular group who's currently being oppressed and marginalized right now. Yes, the story is true. No one can say you're lying if you bring up a true factual story of something bad that happened, but why are you focusing on that? Do you care about sexual assault? Because if you do, who are the ones committing the sexual assault and who should you bring attention to? Do you care about child abuse? Because if you do, who are the ones committing child abuse and should you bring attention to? The answer in the case of child abuse, family members, close friends, people with access to children are committing the majority of child abuse. And then for organizations, it's people who have, again, lots of access to children, things like the Catholic Church. Look towards the Catholic fucking Church. There is a fucking global institution that is not only committing vast amounts of child abuse, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children, we're also talking about something that covers it up and tries to fucking hide the fact that they're committing child abuse. Go after that if you care about abused children. But don't fucking tell me you care about that shit when all you talk about is the 1 or 2 cases where the abuser was trans. This is you trying to vilify trans people. It's so fucking transparent. You can't say like, oh no, I just report. I just tell stories. That's what I do. Okay. Well, I'm an opinion piece on the internet too. I choose what I talk about. I choose the stories I talk about, and I choose the fucking the lens I want to shine on the world to my audience and community. And I know that, and so based on that, you should be able to get a read of what my viewpoints are and what I'm trying to help or further, right? And if the answer for that is like, oh yeah, it's like, you know, unions, worker co-ops, lefty shit, civil rights, liberation, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And also, you know, the joys and wonders of consensual sex and all that kind of thing, then yes, that is the message that's supposed to get out there.
It's just conspiracy theory, and they say, oh, it's sort of happening, doesn't matter. And then they say, oh, it's a good thing it's happening. And that's what NBC eventually wrote, is that, oh, this is a time-honored chant among the homosexuals.
Chanting that they're coming for your children is a normal thing they always do.
They've been doing that forever.
You should definitely get Anna to come on the Culture War show.
We've invited them.
Oh, on here, on IRL. She'd be so fun.
Okay, so not everyone knows this because I know obviously some people are new to me and the whole surfy stuff, but I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/thesurfstv, where I do documentaries and stuff. And I have a person who does videos with me, one of my best friends in the entire world. His name's Dave. You might see him. You might have seen him before. He wanted to know if y'all want to do a watch party to this. The Sound of Freedom. It's a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. And Jesus Christ himself is in it. It's based on a true story, I heard from somewhere across the theater. Based on a true story, bro. Yeah, no, we're gonna get them pedos, bro. True story, yo. The familiar words had appeared on screen. An elderly man had taken upon himself to read them aloud. The rest of the sizable audience seated for a matinee showing of the anti-child trafficking thriller The Sounds of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel. For a seasoned moviegoer, this phase is a joke. We know cinema will stretch almost any truth to a breaking point, and the rank insincerity of such a pronouncement is the foundation of a prankish opening titles of Fargo. But this crowd, I tell ya, would view the events depicted for the next 2 hours as entirely literal. Oh no! Oh no! Imagine when The Passion of the Christ 2 comes out, the amount amount of fucking anti-Semitism. Like when The Passion of the Christ 1 came out, the anti-Semitism, it did increase dramatically, and that was obviously part of Mel Gibson's fucking entire game, right? Racist-ass Mel Gibson wanted the anti-Semitism to increase a little bit, but like at this day and age, where now people are just fooled by anything, they fucking believe random threads on the internet as being some kind of inner fucking circle, high-level Q informant of the government who's actually revealing the truth and secrets in the entire world, and how it's actually controlled by a bunch of Jewish liberal Hollywood elites who are trying to eat children and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff. Like the fact that we're now in that phase, what's The Passion 2 gonna do? Like, are they gonna watch the bro, is this a documentary? Yo, they killed my boy, they killed Jesus, they killed him. Well, who killed him? Oh my, that's what you mean by they. Oh wow, it's a different time. Well, this is what it means. Ballin himself has dabbled in Q-adjacent conspiracy theories, such as the Wayfair trafficking hoax. Thanks, Shoeonhead. I love how Shoeonhead, by the way, is just fucking pendulum swinging now and then appearing back on all the right-wingers' side and just being like, oh, the left lost their minds. And it's like, no, I think you flew too close to the sun. I think you enjoyed the fact that, hey, there's a group that isn't constantly trained to do racist and fucking horrifying shit all the time, like the right is, and might be a nice little break from that. But then you're like, but it's too much purity testing. Too many rules, you know, the lefties. You can't say all the slurs and the words, and you gotta watch what you think and say. Too many rules. Too many woke scolds. That's what it is, right? Purity testing. Only those who are pure. By the way, you notice that's the term Cenk is using right now. It's like, oh, yeah, Ben, she was too pure for us. Too pure for the network. Yeah, people can't handle it. Can't dish it out. Can't dish it. You know what's also wild is fucking the people who flex the most about that. Oh yeah, dish it out, but you can't take it kind of shit. Like, in my opinion, especially when it comes to the right, those are the biggest snowflakes. Like, when you look at my block list, look at the amount of fucking all these powerful men, the men who talk about masculinity all the time, fucking Jordan Petersons of the world. What is this? So he drew a picture of me shooting apple cider. It's not fair. The apple cider hurt my bum. It hurt me. It made groundwater. No. Like, fuck.
On the culture war show.
All of it, yeah.
Because especially with her making, apparently this is something that's been going on for a while. She's been having disagreements. She was on Sitch and Adams.
Oh yeah, I want to go on their show.
Yeah,
you guys are listening.
They're looking to get in touch with you.
Cool.
But she came out and she's said that the Kyle Rittenhouse case, she understands, and she's on Kyle Rittenhouse's side, which is in opposition to.
Oh, I mean, she went a couple steps further. She was like, hey, if I was in Kyle Rittenhouse's shoes, I would have done the exact same thing.
Thanks, Cenk's position. She has an issue with being called a birthing person or a uterus haver or whatever. So there's a lot of things that are going on the left that she's started to have an issue with.
Do you see what you've done? This is exactly as everyone predicted. It's not because everyone was like, clairvoyant, thanks to my empath powers, I was able to really absorb the zeodes or whatever from everyone's fucking, I forget what Scientology is. I forget the Scientology terms. Fuck, I can't even do this bit, but holy fuck, no. We told you this would happen because of course this would happen. Of course the right is going to suddenly use this framing of it all and be like, yeah, the left have lost their minds, I mean, people were saying it for a long time. Your Dave Rubins pointed it out, and they're all just like, oh, the loony left. They're asking for all these rules. They care more about what pronouns you use than they actually care about getting real world results. And it's like, no, motherfuckers, we're all playing defense. No one on the left is demanding that you be called birthing person. You have this cartoonish version of the left. Fucking hell. The left fights the left all the time. There's people like, whether or not you're a leftist doesn't depend on whether or not you say you're a leftist. That doesn't matter. That's why, fine, use terms to be able to identify quickly what someone's maybe socioeconomic policies would be, if you want to get a quick read. But otherwise, what's the point of everyone being like, well, I'm this label. Oh, I don't know if I have a label. I'm without a home. But it's like, if I like someone and if I watch their content, I don't need them to tell me. I don't need them to say out loud what they are. I watched Super Eyepatch Wolf for years, and in my heart thinking, you know what? He seems to have really good takes on a lot of things. I bet you he maybe aligns with a handful of these other views. And sure enough, when I finally got to talk to the guy, it's true. He said it out loud, though. He was like, I just don't think that everyone has to label themselves. Some people can just want to make content and have fun with their content, and that's absolutely fucking true. Not every person has to be like, I'm a political streamer. I am, and by definition, a socialist. Actually, I'm an anarcho-syndicalist. You will know that based on my understanding of theory. And here is the following statement. Like, I watch you for a long time because I like you and you entertain me. I find you funny. That's why I watch H Farmer Guy. I find him funny. He makes me laugh. And so afterwards, I'm like, I bet because he actually goes after a lot of the people I hate and he actually has the right takes on a lot of things, I can get a pretty good feel. I can get a pretty good feel for what this person's like. I don't need you to be, I'm a socialist. Well, I'm only a sock dem. Do you respect me still? I don't give a fuck. What do you advocate for? What do you do IRL? Who do you vote for? What do you do in direct action? What do you fucking volunteer at? Where do you donate money to?
With, and kudos to her.
Oh, I Patch Wolf is such a babe. Holy fuck.
Because
Like
she's
every
taking
other
hell.
sane liberal person who realized what was going on and became
Yeah.
a disaffected liberal.
Yeah. And like I said, kudos to her because she's taken a ton of hell for it. But, the fact that she actually can acknowledge that, look, this is a lie. And one of the things she said on Adam, Such an Adam stream was that people were gaslighting her. And she's like, I know that you're lying to me. And I can't believe that you're still continuing to gaslight.
We live in the upside down, by the way, because again, I don't have to keep doing it, but I can show you the very video clip where Anna Kasparian agrees with Anna Kasparian, because this was a take that Anna Kasparian back in the past, 11 months ago, it wasn't years ago, 11 months ago, was saying, like, you repeated the exact words. You understand why inclusive. No one can say you don't know. No one can say no one's told you. No one's gaslighting you. Are you gaslighting? Did Anna Kasparian gaslight Anna Kasparian? I ask you this. I put, again, to the court of public opinion, if I played both videos side by side, you would look at it and be like, oh yeah, so she had the exact same take as everyone. That's the same thing that Mike said. That's what Olaimi said. That's what Lance said. Everyone had the same take as Anna Kasparian.
Because it's not about her.
Yeah.
It's about the listeners.
Yeah.
So what a lot of these channels do, which I'll leave. There's many of them. They just fabricate everything. They don't care either.
Self-awareness, just like this is I believe they do call this bread and butter, yes?
Because they're ideologically or capitalistically driven. It's really fascinating. They're like, oh, I'm on the left, and they buy massive mansions in California. Complete lies.
Left is not no house. Left is not no clothes. I mean, really, what am I doing here? Wearing this sweatshirt? Where did I get it? Tofino. Yes, it's from Tofino. It's a little city on an island. What am I doing here? I should be wearing a burlap sack, or a fucking a rope to tie around myself as is befitting. No house, no clothes, garbage bag. That Bernie Sanders, I've never seen him wearing a garbage bag. Not once. No, he's a traitor. No, he says he's a leftist. He is not. He is absolutely not a leftist. He wears clothes. He puts on suits. Some of them might be expensive. Have you seen AOC? She drives a car. Yep, she drives a fucking car. Don't get me started on Hassan. Yeah.
These people, it's remarkable that
only
you look to these prominent lefties who are talking about all this, I believe in helping people and socialism, and it's like, oh, who have you supported and donated to? No, how dare you? And then you look to the.
First off, it is just kind of gauche to want to flex on that alone. But hey, it's actually a good thing if content creators want to do that. What are the outcomes going to be? If we're going to shame each other into doing stuff for the causes we believe in, absolutely, let's start doing that. Let's call it out. Tim, I've seen you spend lots and lots of money on things. You know what they are? Billboards. Spent lots of your audience's money on billboards. Lots of New York Times. Fucking, you got Times Square, buddy. Giant billboards being like, what did the one you say? It was about libs of TikTok. I forget who. Someone doxed libs of TikTok. Oh fuck, chat's gonna get to it before I do. Either way, you spent a lot of money on that. That was expensive, Say it with me, charity is systemic change. No, it's definitely not. To Tofino, one of the most beautiful places in North America. Taylor Renz, thank you, Marina the Yeen. I was like, there's fucking 1K viewers. One person's gonna know. Yeah, Taylor Lorenz. It said Taylor Lorenz. You know what it should have said? And you know what? If you donate to me, everybody, if you use Prime subs, if you subscribe, I will put your money to good use. I'll eventually one day be able to afford an ad in Times Square that says Glenn Greenwald doxed libs of TikTok. Yes, we'll buy it. We'll spend money on it. Glenn Greenwald doxed libs of TikTok. So the whole world can know. It doesn't matter the cost or the price. Money is no object for you. Money's no object for all of you. my fans. You know, I hope not. Anyway, I hope you're not doing too bad, because fucking I'm gonna need all those donos so I can buy ridiculous shit. Okay, I'm on billboards. This is my altruism. It would be good, by the way, if honestly, a lot of people, especially leftists, I'm not saying you shouldn't critique leftists. You should. Leftists critique leftists all the fucking time. Leftists are the ones who are usually like, oh, by the way, why don't we stand up? I think leftists should encourage people to get involved in direct action. I think they should get encouraged to get involved in donating to a variety of different causes. Get active right now if you are interested in LGBTQ plus issues. Find in your local area chapters. There will be a lot of organizations, most likely you haven't even Googled them before, that are doing activism for LGBTQ plus issues. There are organizations wherever you live. If you live in Vancouver, like myself, the Democratic Socialists of Vancouver, on the last Saturday of every month, do fridge stocking around town. It's a wonderful experience. You get to meet and hang out with a bunch of lefties who stock fridges. Highly recommend participating in the entire thing. Donate blood if you can. Do direct action when it's taking place in your city, especially for causes you care about. And also, balance it. You shouldn't 24/7 be having, don't care two fucks about your bona fides in terms of like proving to other people, I'm the one true leftist. I actually donate my time. Okay. I'm actually, who cares? Who cares about that shit? You do what is good for you and what makes you feel happy and satisfied in life. That's what you should be attaining, and that's what your goal should be. And find a balance too. Hey, if you have a shit life, if you have depression, if you have anxiety, if your parents are mean to you, or if you have a badass life, then why the fuck is it beholden on you to get out there and fucking be donating your time to become the one true leftist? No, look after yourself. Find any resources you can to try and help you in your situation. A healthy leftist is a better and more functional leftist. And please, if you're going to get involved in politics, let's get involved in local politics, because yes, I say vote in every election, and I canvass and vote and volunteer in local elections, federal elections, and provincial elections. I think all of them are important, but local elections are the ones where we can really fucking break through as the left. I sincerely look at Seattle and what they've accomplished, thanks to Shama Sawant and her being an independent socialist. That's been one of the reasons why you see the minimum wage raised there before it was raised in a lot of other parts of the United States. That's why you see rent freezes and protectionism for renters against landlords. That is in large part due to a lot of the fucking action of, again, the Democratic Socialists of Seattle, as the DSA, as well as the work of Shama and her ability to canvass and really relate to people. That's where there's going to be a lot of victories. All of that shit is really, really good and powerful. And yes, if you are a streamer, use your platform for causes, please. You know, hey, by the way, that reminds me. I'll give you an early present. I know we haven't gotten the necessary subs, but I'm just going to interject because there's a lot of people watching to show you an exclusive trailer for the upcoming Matrix. Yes, you know the movie The Matrix. Well, we're going to do The Matrix. We're going to do the entirety of the Matrix film. We're going to read out all the roles. We're going to read out all the lines. We're going to act it out. We're going to do the entire movie to raise money for Rainbow Railroads. If you don't know about Rainbow Railroads, they're an organization that helps LGBTQ plus refugees escape persecution globally. Because yes, it is something that I care deeply about. It's important to me and I want to help. So we're going to fundraise as much money as we can. I've got all the details, including the cast reveal, right now, here, live, for the first time. Enjoy.
My name is Neo.
Oh, cat! I didn't know that was the same cat who's in the chat, who's also in. Yeah, everyone say hi to Neo. Neo's in the Twitch.tv chat right now. Thank you for all the gifted subs. That's awesome. Yes, I hope you all are excited about the cast. I hope you're amped. I am extremely amped, especially because there's so many amazing people. And there's going to be a bunch of guest stars and surprises as well. Some other big streamers are going to be showing up just to play little teeny roles as guest stars here and there. It's gonna be fucking fun. To people asking, no, we're not doing all three because I don't know if I could ask someone to do the entire trilogy. That would be like, hey, can you read out characters for fucking like I don't know 2 days? We're gonna do the first movie, but we're going to break it up into 3 parts. So it will do like the first act, and then we'll have a break where we read out all of the donos and be like, hey, blah, blah, talk to, the cast or blah, blah, let special guests come on, let people from the organization. Rainbow Railroad is going to have a couple people from the org come on to be able to explain how they're working really hard right now. Initially, their last year project was to get as many people out of Uganda who are LGBTQ plus as possible. And now they're going to start focusing as well on red states, because obviously there's a lot of red states that have draconian laws being passed to directly target trans people. And right now, the government of Canada, Justin Trudeau, has directly partnered with the organization Rainbow Railroad to try and get as many LGBTQ plus refugees as possible to Canada. So there's no better time for us to actually do this event, which is going to be awesome, because then we can make Canada the queerest country of all time. That's going to be the goal. We'll try to just erase Canada as a concept in the country, end the colonialism, and then just fill it with the gays. And so like Indigenous people will basically run everything. They'll own the land as it is theirs, but then it'll just be filled with the gays. It's going to be the communist utopia of our dreams. This is what I'm trying to manifest in the world. Yes, this is the ultimate project of the left. We're just going to gayify the world.
Clean up your room.
We told you, we warned you, we said it out loud, so you can't say that we didn't let our cause be known. So there you have it. I love this so much. Did you get the rights to do the movie? No, but you don't need to have the legal rights to be able to do a read. I'm not going to be just playing the movie and then all of a sudden pausing it and being like, yeah, I'm Neo. Like, we're actually just going to do a cold read like you would with the script and everything. I was reading the script over the other day. I didn't know how much of the script actually isn't in the final film. They trimmed a lot of it. So there's actually going to be some lines that people don't know about. Here's a quick example. In that opening scene where Agent Smith is interrogating Neo, and he's like just talking to him about all the fucking, like, you used to help your landlady take out the garbage and all that kind of stuff. And Neo's like, how about I give you the finger and you give me my phone call? That whole scene. He afterwards says this really crude line. He's like, how about I give you the finger and you can sit on it with your sphincter, or something like that. And I'm like, that second line didn't make it in. I didn't know that. As a person who loves The Matrix, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I've spent so much of my life dedicated to try and uncover all the secrets of it. Turns out I was wrong. I wasted years of my life, by the way. Literal years. I was, like, in the early days of the internet, I was going on fucking forums. I was just going through all that shit, and I was constantly fucking, like, being like, oh, yeah, maybe it's because the architect said this in scene 4 that it means that. Oh, okay, so I'm reading the Gnostic Bible according to, like, the hidden passages of Jesus. This says this, and apparently they were using this, and the Simulatrix actually reversed it, like, blah, blah. All wrong. I was like, this is the sissest thing about me. This is the sissiest sis that ever sissed. The sissest thing I've ever done was obsess with the Matrix trilogy, the original, and not get the trans allegory. Not get any of it. Just, that scene in slow motion with the bullets? That's the point. That's the point. The point, like that. Oh, that's the point. Just flying by me. And then now, as an adult, having both watched a lot of interviews with the Wachowski sisters, read literature, read a lot of analysis of it, read queer literature on the topic as well. Now I'm like, oh, the character was called Switch. Oh, what? They could be lesbian. Okay, cool. Well, I've learned some things. I may have dedicated a lot of my life to learning the wrong thing.
Quote unquote,
it
right.
All makes sense now.
I love this thing about the pro-choice, pro-life argument. When the pro-choicers lie
Don't know yet,
all
Winston.
the time.
I'll let you know
that's
soon.
Unfair. It's not
Probably
pro-choice.
5-ish.
It is the pro-abortion side and the pro-life side, because the pro-choicers are like in the middle and like typically not siding with conservatives on a lot of issues. I mean like actual pro-choice, where they were like maybe within the first few weeks, but post-viability, no abortion. The reasonable Democrat position from a while ago. The pro-abortion crowd is just lying about everything. I forgot exactly where I was going, but that's basically the gist of it. You've got people who have found themselves silenced and in the middle as the left just says whatever it is.
No, Afro, I'm going to launch it later
and
today.
then lies about what's actually happening to win power.
You take like post-birth abortion, how people are claiming that it's not actually happening, but they're legislating.
All the media
to be
claiming
legal.
that no one ever brought it up when Northam literally talked about even resuscitating the baby and then bring it to another room to decide what to do.
There's also a phenomenon of liars, people that think it's good to lie and they just do it. I had a friend growing up, and granted we were like 13 or 14 at the time, but we would play.
You see what I mean? Like it's just like it's so deeply unserious. The post-birth abortions. And like, please don't take their framing of this. And I mean, Anna, don't buy into this. Why are you listening to this? You have spent most of your career laughing at these people for good reason, and these takes for good reason, because they're absurd. This is a non-thing. It's called murder. We have a word for it. It's murder. If you are murdering a viable, as in living human after it's been born, yeah, that's murdering it. You're murdering it. There's no post-birth abortions. And again, they keep focusing on the 9th month because it puts you in this weird position where you have to be like, well, I just want to find where exactly you're okay with killing babies, Lance. Okay, so this is fine. Let's get a read on the temperature here. So you don't want to kill babies the second like the head comes out of the womb, kind of thing. Like you don't want that. That's so how much of the baby is still inside the woman where her rights suddenly leave and the babies begin is kind of where I'm trying to get at. And I'm like, I care about policy. I care about the fundamental principle of everyone having equal rights to bodily autonomy. In that, I'm going to be stalwart, even if I may disagree with the concept of someone having a 9th month abortion because they got bored. But lucky for me, that doesn't happen. I don't have to worry about it because it's a non-issue. It's not a real thing. It's a ghost worry, right? It's a specter. It's not a real problem in the real world. Oh, I don't have to sit up at night and be like, oh God, what about all those babies that were almost born, but then not born? And then all those mums got bored. You know, when mums get bored in the 9th month of pregnancy and don't want to have the kids anymore.
Dungeons and Dragons, and then he'd roll, and then he'd be like, "No, I got a 5." I'd be like, "Dude, you just rolled a 7." He'd be like, "No, I had a 5, dude." I'd be like, it was a 7." Like that's gaslighting. But then we play with a third guy would come over, and he'd be like, "No, it was a 5." And we'd both be like, "You're lying to us. You just rolled a 7." He's like, "No, I rolled a 5." And how do you get through to someone like that?
You don't.
We just
They're
had
evil.
It is hard, Moon Lord. It's hard with all of you. I won't lie. I can show up there and straight up like throw graphs in your face. It's like hold up the history of left-handedness like this, explain it, and clearly listen to you all learn a concept for the first time. Granted, and I will give this to Ian. Ian, very receptive to new ideas, certainly was like, interesting. Started to wrap his head around a new concept and start to adjust. Whereas everyone else is just like, what I think, Lance, you're in a cult. I think you're in a cult. And I think that you want to genocide autistic people. That's what I'm hearing. You're a cultist who wants to genocide autistic kids. Yep, you want to render autistic kids sterile. And I'm like, well, that's not what I said or thought at all. I hadn't even entertained that idea once in this conversation. Or actually, if I'm broadly speaking, generally in my life ever. So it's a weird thing to hear you accuse me of. I mean, again, I'm supposed to be the dirtbag name calling left, but I'm just having to sit here and be in awe of me again, being like, hey, what about meta studies?
To cut ways and like ostracize.
The reason they can get through or get away with it is because whoever their audience is.
Would I play competitive Dungeons and Dragons with Tim Pool and his crew? Not like just for funsies? No. If they all want to go down a pathway of ultimately renouncing and undoing the damage that they have done in terms of being absolute and utter bigots towards the queer community and furthering the fear-mongering that is resulting in real-world violence committed against all of my brothers, sisters, and non-binary people who are suffering and scared right now, then okay, we'll help them. I will help them on that journey. I will fucking give them the books, the literature, the videos, the people they should talk to and interview, and the people and the pathway along the way to try and to undo the damage. But like I've said before, I'm not looking to be friends with these people. I'm not like Tim Pool. I'm not sitting there sad where I'm just like, well, Emma, why don't you want to go for sushi? We know a really good sushi place. I don't get it. Why don't you want to see my half pipe? Well, we could play you a live song. I can play what I could do acoustic. I know the acoustic chords to play to my songs. Yeah, I have a song called Genocide. It's about sheeple and deep state and how like the media lies to you. Do you want to listen to Genocide by Tim Pool? Acoustic version. It's cool, right? Like I don't care if it's in service of either I get a massive platform to try and deprogram some people. Of course I'm going to take it. Who wouldn't take it? You'd be foolish. I hate the people who are like, you shouldn't go on their shows. Oh, you should never do that. It's like, they have fucking literally like 100 times my viewers. Well, I guess 50 times my viewers now, but still, that's monstrously huge. If I can get on there and just turn one or two people a little bit away from this, if they can see how ridiculous some of this shit is, if you're sitting there and like, they legitimately had to wrap their heads around the concept where I'm like, hey, there's no way I could turn you all gay, right? I don't even mean like no homo, bros. Not even doing the no homo. All right, I'm just saying like, I can't show you the best gay porn in the world, just the most incredible, juiciest cocks of all shapes, sizes, and colors. I could not do that, and a certain combination of them would turn you gay. I'm assuming. I'm also assuming you don't need to all watch or look at straight shit all day, straight porn or catalogs or whatever, to stay straight. That's not a thing, right? You don't wake up and then you're like, oh feeling a little gay today. Oh, gotta undo the gay. Oh, better look at, oh, nice titties. Oh, those are good tits. All right, de-gayification is happening. Oh, I feel it. I feel it happening. All right, I'm ready. I'm straight. Oh, I'm fucking straight. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's fight. Let's fight, brother.
Isn't a very narrow channel. They're not like checking out a lefty on the Young Turks, and I'll watch Tim Pool and sort of get both sides of the story. Their audiences are completely locked in with people just like them and think like them. So you like still have people this.
I'm not going to deny that this is not an echo chamber. Fine. It's a cozy, wonderful space full of a whole bunch of different people. And I love it. I love diversity. I love that we have a whole bunch of people, different ethnicities, cultures, countries, languages, all genders, you know, it's beautiful. I love that. And yes, everyone here is kind of probably already a little more inclined outside of the hate watchers to be a little bit more lefty. Sure. That's okay with me. I'm going to admit to that. But I will always tell you, please don't ever rely on a single person, myself or any other entertainer, to get all your information or beliefs or stuff like that. I want to point you in the direction. You know, I want to go say, hey, if you want to learn about the cosmos, please go listen to Carl Sagan. Go watch Cosmos by Carl Sagan. He'll inform you on so many beautiful things that I do not know. And I am but a cheerleader for these people. I sit on the sidelines and be like, oh, this is cool. I like science. I'm not a scientist. I'm a talkie man. I make sounds into the mic on the internet, but I do like the science.
Day, yelling about January 6ers killing 5 police officers that day, which,
yeah.
No, but they believe it because all their news sources repeat that same lie, and they're not exposed to anybody outside of that. Or when they get like
this guy's chin protest,
they run to me and I say, "Oh, that's not true.
It's making
the only
sense.
people that died were protesters, unarmed protesters." Like, "Oh, you're lying. That's not true." So we have two different, I guess, realities.
So here's the issue I see with like the Young Turks. I've known them for a very, very long time, like longer than 10 years.
Back when he was a conservative, do you know?
Not when he was a
long?
conservative. I remember, and they used to post. I guess they were. Jimmy Dore said this. I could be wrong. That they would post photos of like upskirt shots or something like that. I don't know if that's true or whatever. It's been a while. Was that what it was?
That was Hassan. Hassan started out doing a lot of stuff like that.
Hassan.
Is that true? I feel, because like you can't believe really anything that comes on this show, but then when I'm like, that doesn't sound real, they're gonna be like, well, actually, Lance, based on this old tweet from blah blah blah, da da da. If that's not true, by the way, that's a fucking hell of an accusation. You know, if you're like, hey, by the way, Hassan Piker, according to me, I'm the source on this one, but according to me, he used to take photos of the upskirts of women's dresses and stuff. And I'd be like, so you are accusing someone of sexual assault. That's sexual assault and probably revenge porn. Both very serious charges and crimes. Is this kind of where America's at right now? Because like Tim Pool calls fucking everyone a pedophile and a groomer. He called the entire staff of Activision groomers. And maybe that's like, well, it's plausible deniability, bro. You know, because he's calling so many people groomers, they can't all be groomers, right? So it's like it's got to be exaggerated for comedic effect. You can't say that it's not real. Well, that one's pretty fucking specific. If he's like Hassan Piker used to take photos of the upskirts of women's dresses, like, okay, so you're accusing him with evidence, I assume, again, of sexual assault. You've just accused him of sexual assault of multiple victims, by the way. And this is the first I've heard of it, but what did Activision do? That one's so fucking ridiculous. Activision took a stance against Nick Merckx, who was jumping into the culture war, knowing exactly what he's doing. The guy is obviously a fucking massive ass transphobe, homophobe, queerphobe, who wants to do that whole thing where it's like, I got no hate in my heart, all right? I just want you to stay the fuck away from kids. No hate in my heart, but stay the fuck away from kids. And it's like, no one is coming after kids in the queer community. That is a myth propagated by the far right to vilify and fucking condemn queer folk in order to, again, be part of their fucking terrible ass extermination project. What everyone is saying, and this is like both civil rights activists and allies, is that queer kids exist. Trans kids exist. Gay kids exist. And so they should have the opportunity to be as safe as every other kid. That's the argument in the other direction. But Nick Merckx was like, nah, fuck that noise. And this is also someone who thinks that Ron DeSantis is the GOAT, was basically just like, hey, I'm publicly going to be like, stay away from the kids, which obviously implies that it's fucking your groomers and pedophiles and stuff like that. But it also does the thing that they love doing, like Tim Pool loves doing, where they get to have, again, that little safety. Because you have to play defense, right? And Anna Kasparian is doing this now. It makes you have to play defense. You got to get on the other end. And it's like, wait, is that a controversial statement? What, leave them kids alone? Do you want to go after kids? Unless you want to go after kids, why is that a controversial statement? I don't get it. Oh, and so that gave Tim Pool, at that moment, after they dropped Nick Merckx, the ability to quote tweet them and be like, call of groomers. And it'd be like, everyone who works at Activision is a groomer. And again, like, you know, Tim Heidecker, before he deleted his Twitter, was like, should I sue Tim Pool for falsely accusing me of being a groomer with zero evidence? Okay, that is a fucking very, very loaded statement. Someone accusing you of sexually abusing children. Could be physically abusing them as well, but in the case of you being accused of both being a groomer and a pedophile, most likely he's accusing you of sexually abusing kids. He's calling you a person who either beats or rapes children.
I used to do that stuff.
Hassan Piker
He
used
would
to
do
be kind of like the
upskirt?
Not exactly. I'm not gonna say he did upskirt stuff, but he was like early YouTube guy posting like, you know,
Edgy,
cute girls,
offensive,
edgy
yeah.
stuff. Early
He
like
was a bro
06.
code.
Yeah, he used to do a lot of really gross ass misogynistic and transphobic shit and used to post about it. And guess what? Has come out publicly and stated that he finds it gross, disgusting, transphobic, homophobic, and does not stand by any of it, and has worked towards undoing those takes and uses his platform to support queer rights. That's like that's what the left is asking for. This whole cancel culture left shit, this is the kind of shit, right? Where it's like, hey, just better yourselves, you know? 10 years ago, I was a massive ass transphobe. It's not because I was particularly angry or targeting trans people. I didn't understand or know what they were. If I'm being completely honest, 10 years ago, a decade ago, I wouldn't fully be able to articulate a lot of these issues, and I would have said some transphobic shit, because we live in a transphobic society. If you live in a cis-normative society, a heteronormative society, everything that is not that, being pansexual, being bisexual, being asexual, all of those things, they're going to be seen as lesser than. They're going to be seen as the bad thing, right? So in that, yeah, all of us are. All of us. It's just like, trans people will tell you that they were transphobic. You know, like a lot of it is undoing this shit. It's the same thing with like someone explaining how racism works in certain respects in the modern age to white people. That's not me saying that you as a person, you're a bad person. You know, you could fundamentally be a great person. I don't really know you. We just met on the bus. But anyways, I'm not trying to call you out as just a person. I'm just saying what you're doing furthers a lot of terrible racist stereotyping against this one group. And it's one of those things that we don't find socially acceptable anymore. We've changed a lot of our norms. This is one of those. Culture and politics are but a stone throws away. If you don't believe that, look what is happening in real time to trans people before your very eyes right now. You can see it in politics. You can see it when fucking politicians are passing bills, when they're pushing this shit in real time, quoting people like Jesse Singal and soon to be the Young Turks, I'm sure. But when they're putting these fucking bills forward, this is, again, downstream from the culture wars. This is why if you have a minority of people, say Christian fascists, Christian nationalists, they are not the majority of the population, but when they have an agenda, an ideological agenda, one that is obviously an elimination project, specifically targeting right now trans people, but it is a larger project of eliminating the queers globally and generally, look no further than their wins and victories in places like Uganda. That is a form of American imperialism, where Christian think tanks, and maybe less American, Christian imperialism. Yeah, we'll say Christian imperialism, because that's exactly what it is. Christian think tanks, you know, are pushing a lot of these bills in other countries where they can have successes politically and then trying to spread that globally. You're seeing that same thing happen by Christian organizations in Canada. It's not just like, you know, specific to a country in Africa. It's a global phenomenon that they're doing. And look what happens. They pass these bills based on culture war, fear-mongering lies, unscientific bullshit that people start to believe. So that's why it is important to convince other people, to be able to speak to your family. I know it seems like a small ask, but if your family on Thanksgiving is fundamentally so far gone on this because they bought into all these weird lies, it's the same shit that people used to believe to further any terrible cause to marginalize a group, right? People used to believe in fucking unscientific skull measuring and phrenology and skull shapes and pure Aryan skull shapes based on the caliper and weight. And I'm not trying to do a one-to-one comparison. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as the exact, bigotry and suffering that occurred to black people is the same thing that is occurring to trans people. But again, there's also black trans people. And yes, suffering is suffering, marginalization is marginalization. And a lot of the same, as it's been pointed out before, the same techniques that worked, or at least were shown to be effective in getting people scared against gay people are being recycled right now against trans people. They're recycling all of the same fucking plays over and over. They're coming for your kids. They're pedophiles. They're a danger to your children. We can't give them rights. Once they do, they're rapists. All of them will begin to rape.
Bro code kind of
Bro
guy.
code. I
Bro
remember.
Oh, the Walsh baby is so gross.
Kinda
Bro
The
06,
Young
07.
Turks
I
have
think
some
on
like
streams.
dark stuff.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
what I think happened with them is they had a large audience. The cultural shift started to happen in 2015, and they did not want to go against their own.
Lance and Emma was debating Tim Pool and followed actual justice for her. That's not fucked up. Your friend was debating someone and you stabbed them in the back. Did she really stab? I don't think she stabbed Emma. I don't think she's attacked or gone after Emma at all. She's gone after me and Olayomi, I think, so far in terms of like actual full on name calling and lying. That's the part that bugs me though. Like, come after me for the things that I say and do, and then if you disagree with my takes, that's different than being like, hey, this disingenuous weird ass framing that Tim Pool is lying and putting out and that people are spreading clips around the internet on, let's buy into a clipped and shipped moment that is not Lance's position, and then I'm going to say out loud Lance's position. That's the part that fucks with me, because then almost verbatim, word for word almost, she said my position and take. And like, if you had watched the actual debate or seen that clip, you'd know. That's why when I heard it like coming out of her mouth, I was like, what the fuck? You are saying my words right now. This is wild. Like, there's... The tapes are there. The shit is all public. It's all up on my website. It's all up on fucking Tim Pool's website. It's all over the internet. There's like an abundance of access to this shit. You're not going to be able to just like ignore it, you know, unless you're either intentionally lying or you are believing the framing that has been done by the right in this case. Yes, I know that Seth Dillon and all these people fucking hate me, and I know they will clip and ship me. That's part of the cost of going on Tim Pool's show. What do you think is happening right now to Emma? Emma Vigeland goes on Tim Pool's show. All of the clips that are circulating around from the right are trying to paint her as a pedophile. And by the way, this is what they do to people who are allies. As far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Emma is cishet, right? She's a very strong ally of the trans community as far as, like, you know, you see trans people speaking about the things that she says. Her advocacy is on point. She is listening and following the science, as that, like, really anyone is asking, by the way, is follow the science. Follow the science, please. Just go look at every major medical association of the United States, see what they are all conclusively saying. The statements and the testimonies are there. I have linked them, by the way. They can't say they didn't see it. I, in my quote tweet of Jank, linked all the links. They have access to them. There's no excuse. That's all that anyone is asking for, you know?
Money was more important, so they just went along with whatever the current thing was, but eventually you break. Eventually the left starts advocating for insane things like post-birth abortion, unrestricted abortion, calling women birthing persons, and have bonus hole havers, and eventually,
Like,
Mission complete.
well done, well done. Look, Tim Pool and the right are now saying things like, apparently it's a real thing. You know, us lefties and us advocates, and if you're a civil rights advocate, we're talking about that bonus hole. Hey, I'm sorry, I do not want to hear the term vagina. That is a banned word now. That is the V word. Okay, we don't refer to that term anymore. It is very, very racist to use the V word. Don't use the V word. It's racist. How's it? Nah, don't ask questions. Fuck it. All right. We now refer to it as the bonus hole. Yeah, that old bonus hole. You know, the bonussy. The bussy or the bonussy? I guess the bussy is already the bussy. We can't take the bussy. It's got to be the bonussy. The bonussy. Bonussy's got a good ring to it, you know?
you're just like, this
Francesca spoke out today on her channel. Can you link me?
is insane. The problem I have with the issue I take with the Young Turks is that they're still trying to pretend to be a part of whatever the left is. Yeah, they'll say things like, well, we are on the left because we believe in universal health care. It's like, oh, so do I. And I've talked about that quite a bit on this show. And they'll say, yeah, well,
Your versions of everything is just the weirdest fucking, I guess, like, anarcho-capitalist, poison, libertarian version of a lot of things. Like, oh, yes, I do. But to be honest, with conditions. And you're like, what conditions? Well, again, I believe in the bodily autonomy of women. Okay. And I believe they should have a right, you know, to choose. Okay. But I don't think that we should be taking viable children and murdering them. What's the last part? I don't think in the 9th month that we should be taking these viable babies and choosing to abort them. Who's doing that? That doesn't happen. No. If a woman is pregnant and she's at the 9th month of pregnancy, she's about to give birth. If like the train has left the station, so to speak, there's going to be most likely, if anything, the most horrifying medical complication possible. If that's the reason why at that stage that she would have to have an abortion. It's not an abortion in the sense of an abortion as in an elective procedure to remove a potential viable eventual zygote into embryo into fucking human, into fetus into human kind of trajectory here. These are not real problems, not a thing that happens. You can't say that you're like, I'm pro-choice, but we got to talk about the baby guillotines. You're performatively for something, I guess, to be edgy, because I don't understand what the fuck is the point of any of the Tim Pool wanting to impress people. Why do you have to impress people so bad? Why do you care if Sam Cedar likes you? Why do you care if Emma Vigeland likes you? Why do you care if they think your skate park is impressive or your songs are good or that you have these amazing bass takes on Flint, Michigan and the water supply? Why do you care? I don't get the fucking point. If these are people who ideologically disagree with you, then fuck them. You should be looking at the things that they say and think and espouse with their platforms and be like, I hate these fucking positions that they are using these big platforms to push. I am against them. I am against all this fucking leftism and unionization and wanting worker cooperatives and the emancipation and liberalization of, working conditions and democracy in the workplace. You should hate that. And you should be like, these fucking anti-capitalists. Ooh, I hate them. Not like, oh, I really wish I could hang out with them. It'd be really cool. Really cool if we could just get to know each other.
We're pro-choice. I'm like, that's funny. So am I. We've had debates. Me and Seamus discuss this all the time. They're lying. They're still lying. Even though Anna is pushing back against lies from the left, they still lie and pretend that they're not in agreement with us on a lot of issues. They still pretend to support things that are completely untrue. Even when Anna says something that's correct, as soon as someone on the right compliments her or says, here's what you're right about, she'll come out and say, yeah, well, you know what, but I'm still not on the right and I disagree with you. It's like, just stop. This whole
That's what you do. That's what I was telling you. Come on, bruh. If you just took 2 seconds and just stop pretending, because I got him multiple times to say on camera that he's on the right. He'll even say it out loud. He'll be like, oh, that's why you have the lefty position of that. And I'm like, well, that's why I disagree with the right wing position of this. And he's like, oh, you're in a cult, man. You're in a cult. You're in a cult, dude.
Whole desperate need to be on the left is so annoying. That's why I'm like, I'll try and define it. What does it mean to be culture war right wing, economically right wing, or socially right wing?
Yeah,
definitions matter. Sure. But I'll refer to this as the freedom faction or the culture war right. I don't care what you call it, so long as we understand what we're talking about.
Anyone that's like, I am a fill in the blank. I'm a conservative. I'm a liberal. I am I am an American. You are putting yourself in a box, man, and it is a dark hole. You cannot see out of that thing.
But is it a bonus hole?
Probably.
I'd be willing to bet that on most issues, I'm to the left of Hassan Piker. Hands down. I hope he hears this. I'd be willing to bet that if we actually had a discussion on issues, I would be to the left of him on a whole bunch.
All right, so I'm officially going to put this out there. I will upload this content so that everyone can see. The gauntlet has been thrown. Apparently, Tim Pool claims that he is to the left of Hassan Piker. So, that being said, now, Hassan, Tim, hey, you might have to make an exception like you have before, by the way, for Ben Shapiro and other people who come on your show. You can do it via fucking Skype and all that kind of stuff. You have the mechanism. You have the technology. So, now, at this moment, I would say, Tim Pool, have Hassan Piker via Discord, Skype. You can do it. I've seen the studio. You have all the tech. And then we'll see if he's to the left.
Of different issues.
I'm not.
But he would lie. No, he would lie. This is my point.
No, I can already see this playing out. You know why? You know how I know? Because I saw it play out with Emma. So I know exactly how this is going to go down. It's going to be that back and forth where he's like, yeah, well, you see, you're pro-war, but I'm left because I'm anti-war, and I don't support the war in Ukraine. But you support the war in Ukraine. Then Emma will say, well, this is actually a very complicated, nuanced topic, but if we're going to talk about that, in this instance, I support a resistance army from a country that has sovereignty, and I believe they have a right to be able to defend themselves against an aggressor trying to do, in my opinion and assessment, an imperious action in order to take over, annex, and absorb parts of another country through violent force. And in this case, I would support the resistance army as I would support Palestinians who are resisting Israelis. What do you think about that, Tim? What is your view on that? I don't really know much about it.
like, I'll put it this way. If someone came to him and wanted to work on some project within
That's not even a bit. That's basically how it went down. That was like that whole moment.
bet that if we actually had a discussion on issues, I would be to the left of him on a whole bunch that he would finance. Do you think he would actually give them the majority of the revenue generated from the project they worked on? I believe the answer would be no. I believe he'd be like, no way. No, absolutely not. Whereas here, we often discuss how if we launch a project, the people working on that project will retain the majority of the revenue generated from it. The company, like, we seek to foster talent and help people grow. I've publicly donated to several people in several causes. I'm not trying to start beef with him or anything like that. I'm just saying I think these people are just entertainment personalities who will claim to support a thing like Ethan Klein or whatever. They'll feign being on a political side for entertainment value. But I guarantee you, if it ever came down to seizing the wealth of Hassan Piker, he would fight you tooth and nail. He would take up arms against a communist revolution in 2 seconds to stop to stop the seizure of his multi-million-dollar mansion in California.
I don't know about that.
He's bourgeois.
Think a socialist uprising is to take Hassan Piker's house. That's really, you know what, at this point, that's just the first one they should go for. You know, once the vanguard properly forms, we have a Politburo and we have, you know, some actual structure and command going in full force, and, you know, whoever identifies themselves as the Lenin and then the Stalin and the whole thing pops off. I mean, first thing you gotta go for is Hassan Piker's vast accumulated wealth. Destroy it all. He's not a true socialist. He has a home. Apparently he has electricity. What? I think you're thinking of fucking what are they called? The Amish. You're confusing socialists for the Amish. It's the Amish who don't have electricity and fancy things, and they make butter by hand, and they don't want like TVs and computers. Yeah, you're thinking of the Amish. Not Hassan Piker, not socialism, Amish. You're confusing the two of them, though. And then, yeah, I guess that would be kind of hypocritical if Hassan Piker was like, oh, you know me, good old Amish Hassan, and then had this entire show where he's basically like, I churn me own butter, I do. I don't know why he's suddenly becoming, like, Irish or something. But either way, if that was the fucking show, then, yeah, I would be like, well, the fact that he actually has a nice house and a nice car is kind of in defiance of his otherwise pretty astute and stout beliefs. But in this case, you know.
I would.
He's bourgeois.
I guess, and I agree with you. I don't like talking about. I don't want to cause drama.
Let me put it this
Anna's
way.
a little.
Rosa
Anna's
Lux,
awesome.
thank you.
Remember that guy in California who was cheering on the rioting?
Well, I certainly like to know where politics land on that side of the aisle, you know. Hey, no, Anna's. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we can finally say it, though. I know we weren't allowed to say it before, but now that she's, you know, kind of having these base takes, we're allowed to talk about that, right? That's what we're allowed to talk about.
And post the photo of the burning building. And then as soon as they started marching towards Beverly Hills, he was like, no!
I think I'm in the wrong chat. This isn't the poverty cult meeting. Oh, you just missed that one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry. Put on your ropes, comrades. Everyone who, you know, attaches their pants via some kind of leather device is clearly not a true socialist.
Don't come here! That's what I'm talking about. So I'm not saying I know.
Yeah, leftism is when poor. Like, if someone's like, hey, by the way, this is a critique of capitalism, and this is a way in order to evolve an economic system into one that is more equitable, has better outcomes for the overwhelming majority of people who undertake it if they have more structure, rights, support. Hey, you do better work and you're a better worker in the workplace when you not only have skin in the game and you own part of the means of production, but you are also protected, looked after, and you don't have to worry about things like, is my healthcare going to go away? Do I have job security? Is my compensation going to be adequate enough to support a family and feed my kids? When those things are taken care of, turns out people are more productive, they work harder, and they're happier and more fulfilled in their lives. And then you can start to look towards things like, what is the vast amount of all these profits truly going towards? And it's like, oh, it's only going to a small amount of people, dudes mostly, just a really teeny little amount of, like, there's 600 of them in America, like 600 billionaires, but that's where it's all going. They have all the accrued value. Well, I mean, come on, you lefties. That's in shareholder value, isn't it? It's in stocks and stuff. Haha, got you. Checkmate. It's like, well, yes, they can actually sell the stocks and they can get that value. Yes, in liquidity if you need it, or they could reinvest in other things. And it turns out a lot of them don't have to pay a lot of the taxes because we give them so many breaks. Not only breaks to corporations, but individuals, if they actually just basically run their lives like a business and pay for everything as an expense, they don't personally get taxed on income and they can declare like $0. Yeah, billionaires can declare $0. I'm not even getting into some of the offshore stuff or the crypto or just parking your money suddenly in another country that's not going to register it with the United States and stuff like that. I'm just talking about what they could legally do, you know? And like if a company like Amazon comes into a city, all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, I want breaks. I want tax breaks. Want some fucking accommodation. We'll go somewhere else. Another city's gonna take it. You know they will. What's going on here, Seattle? You're not gonna accept our terms and conditions? You're not gonna give us billions of dollars in subsidies and breaks? We're gonna go to another. Hey, you're gonna lose a bunch of jobs. Do you want to lose thousands of jobs? Do you want that? Huh? Does your politicians want that? It's not gonna do good in an election cycle. You know, little pretty shit on election cycles. So why don't we keep this whole system running as is?
For sure, maybe I'm wrong about Hassan. I don't watch a ton of his stuff. But the fact that even when I've tried, like, when I've agreed with him and Anna, they still act like I'm wrong. It's the weirdest thing
Is it
ever.
the way you
Westeros, thank you for the prime, and this is not true. Citation needed. Like, people critique specifics, by the way. Yeah, the totality of Tim Pool's work has gotten to such a point where the dude's just such a piece of shit that obviously, yeah, if Tim Pool's got a take, I'm not immediately going to be like, I imagine this one will finally be a fucking sound, reasonable response. Here comes a measured response. I'm going to guess. Here we go. I'm going to be like, this is fucking going to be probably the most horseshit, weird-ass take fused with some Marvel fucking, I don't know, theology I didn't even know about. And then here we go. Yeah, no, he's being real transphobic. Yep, that's extremely transphobic. This sucks. Like, yeah, on average, it's going to be that. But hey, if it was, obviously, and it happens to be because Tim Pool looks exactly like the guy, the meme where it's just like the worst person in the world was right, obviously I'll give it up to you. You are that meme. You're literally that guy. If there's anyone I'm going to give it up to, it's obviously going to be Tim Pool. He is that dude. Like it is iconic almost.
agreed?
No.
You were too, it was too tonally angry when
I
you
made a
said it,
literal
so-
video where I was like, Hassan's totally right and everyone's wrong to criticize him. Here's why he's right. He made a video laughing at me.
Oh, where you guys were like video response, picture-in-picture video responses?
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But like, he made a video and then I responded to it saying he was correct in his assessment. Here's why. And then he made a video saying that I was wrong about a bunch of things and then laughing at some of the points. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I'm agreeing with you. It is fake.
It is good
It's
for
fake.
money, dude. The drama is good for clicks and views and ad revenue.
Tim is the Wojak that got Pinocchio. Literally the boy who cried wolf, and everything is so fucking stupid to say. You know what's cool, chat, especially like when you see just like the hive mind of people working together, is like you'll say, people tell you sometimes like, oh, you know, a lot of like the audience of a show is reflective of the host and his particular, but like that is sometimes really true. Like everyone here is usually very fucking wholesome and funny as fuck. You know, I'll just like look over the chat. I was like, oh my god, that's funny. Wish I came up with that. Now I have. I'll steal it from all of you.
But it's we got to get to a point where we get past that. Just
Well-
shuffle it off like ballast and get up into orbit.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL
Thanks for
podcast.
watching about the fucking. Hey, exactly as predicted. Like 100% to a T. It's just 100%. Hey, here's an example of, as we told you, people using these wedge issue arguments based on stories that happened 3 years ago in Britain in a very isolated incident about inclusive language. This could not be more fucking removed, okay? If you are actually interested in facts and like telling the truth, you would never touch this story in a million fucking years. Be honest to yourselves. Come on. Ollie London, the right-wing extreme racist grifter is the one who's propagating this in the West 3 years later. 3 years later is the reason now it's coming here in America and everyone's talking about, well, what about bonus hole? Have you heard that apparently they've gone too far? They've gone too far. You share that with intent. You know what you're doing. You know that if you share this story, that people are now going to use it as a wedge issue to say that civil rights activists, aka what they consider trans activists, but trans activists are basically trans people trying to exist, right? But they know that they're going to say that they've gone too far. It's gone too far. Yep. Now they're calling vaginas bonus holes. We got neo-pronouns. Apparently there's more than 10 genders. I thought we were stopping at 10, but now there's more. There might be a secret 12th gender, maybe in a 16th, I'm told. It depends on when we decode all the secret parchments from way back yonder. No, like, these are not the things that activists, aka people, are asking for. They're saying, hey, We want the same rights as everyone else. And right now you are intentionally passing legislation to try and limit the rights, trying to remove the health care of children. I mean, when all the jokes are aside, when the memes are done, when all that's left, that's the reality of the situation. It's fucking, this is about taking kids' healthcare away. And this is about making kids' lives scarier. Kids' lives in school. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like when I went to school, there were days when it was fucking scary as fuck and I didn't want to see anyone. And I would hide in the computer rooms. I would hide in computer rooms so I either wouldn't get fucking beat up or bullied or picked on. And then you start to develop all these like super nerd friends who also hang out in the computer rooms because they want to get away. Or you just hide in the theater kids room or with the audio video club. I don't know. Maybe I have jocks among us or something like that. And that's cool. If you had fun and you felt safe in school, I wish that for you. I wish that for everyone. That was not my experience. My experience was fucking scary as fuck, and school is a vicious, it was a cutthroat place. And I don't see why, if we understand that there are things that we can do that will decidedly make life better, specifically for kids who already have it really hard. It's already fucking hard enough being a kid. It's hard enough going through all this shit, let alone fucking puberty and all the demands that are being put on you, especially in both directions. I mean, if you're a man, it's like, oh, you're a virgin. That means you're a pussy. You're basically a woman, which is the worst thing you could be, that or gay. So yeah, you gotta go fuck, you gotta go conquer, you gotta go fucking blah, blah, blah. Now go get out there and try and manipulate women into giving you their bodies and pussies. This is all so deeply terrible and unhealthy. And in the other direction, it's like, hey, by the way, you gotta be hot, you gotta be good looking, you better lose a bunch of weight, you gotta be beautiful. All the hot girls are on Instagram, all the hot girls are fucking, look at how hot they are, look at all the hot people in the magazines and the models, you gotta be that hot all the time. Here is a very unrealistic beauty standard that everyone has to adhere to and become at all times, because men for the rest of your lives are gonna judge you on whether or not you're hot or not. This is gonna be it. This is gonna be your entire life. Are you hot? And now all these people who used to be really nice to you are suddenly gonna be super creepy. All these old dudes are suddenly going to be like, oh, look at those chitties, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be really scary and creepy. The world's going to be creepy, but now all your value and worth is based on how hot you are. Get out there, go have fun. All that shit, in addition to, all of a sudden, it's like fucking, hey, by the way, everyone's not going to believe you if you start telling them that you're trans. No one's going to believe you that you are not the gender that you were identified as birth, and all the things you're going through are traumatizing in addition to all of that other shit. Like, fucking hell, you know? It fucking sucks. It's brutal.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you kindly to our Lord and Saviors Peyton L. Just and Xander Corvus. Without you, we are nothing. And now, a shout out to our Knights of the Square Table. Amazing Flesh, Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, DM Rivera, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Izzy Solidarity, La Media Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Nettle, Omni, Peanut Butter Blonde, Political Papi, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Kubi, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Dimmel, Thomas, Trevbot EXE, Lucidry, Words Greenwood, Cheryl Alvarez, Tony Perkins, Thomas, O'Pecker, Travis McClinton, and Victoria Bell. Thank you so much. And a huge shout out to all the other people who make this entire show possible. Without you, it would not exist. If you can support us, please go to patreon.com/theserfs, and even $1 can help unlock all of the little goodies and help make this show entirely possible.